Hi, it's Florian, and in this video I'm going to talk about what an engineering job will look like in a post-COVID world. So if you are an engineer and if you maybe never made up your mind what this change will really mean for you and your industry, you might want to listen. You of course always want to be one step ahead of your competition, and you just need to be one step ahead, not two or three. One is basically enough. And especially in these big changing times like COVID, there will be a lot of opportunities and you just need to see them and benefit from them. If you have the same opinion that I have about the stuff I'm going to talk about, just post it in the comments if you have a different one also. The first thing that I think will change is that there will be more remote working. That is basically obvious, but the question is what it means. For most people, it means I need a bigger office. I need a bigger apartment with a room where I can set up an office. Companies like Microsoft will strive because they have Microsoft Teams and so on. And I can go and develop Microsoft Teams, or I can go and develop Zoom or my own video conference thing or whatever. But that's not the point from my point of view. The point is, especially for an engineer, that most factories now need to be controlled in a different way. So if you want to remote manage a factory or parts of the factory or monitor the state of your production, you suddenly need different technologies. Your products need different interfaces. And there's a huge opportunity in this market in a post-COVID world, which is not seen right now. So I think that there's really something that if you prepare for that, you can have a great job, a great career in it. And what you need to know for it, even if you are a mechanical engineer, you need to know how do these machines interact with each other. So what are the protocols that they speak, like OPC UA or MQTT? What does it mean for the current factory setup, like with field buses? What will change, especially when you go to Ethernet with TSN or 5G? You need to have some kind of imagination how people operate this stuff. What kind of web technology do they use? What kind of cloud technology? What AI stuff might help there? How machines communicate to other machines? Especially if you are an electronics engineer or software engineer, that is something you should look into very closely. If you are a mechanical engineer, it doesn't hurt knowing it. The basics are enough, because you will have a big benefit if you do, and you will be ahead of your competition if you do. So remote working, very important to think about what it means, and not only for you but also for the industry you work in. Number one. Number two, industries will change. So industries will die basically, and others will benefit. The ones who die, sadly, are the automotive industry. I'm convinced that they will, and also aerospace. They will not disappear completely, but they will lose market share or revenue overall over the next 10 years. Even if they go to something like electric cars, which is the hype right now, it won't help them because the number of combustion cars they don't sell will be larger than the number of electric cars they will sell. People will just not need too many cars because of the remote working. And of course they won't travel as much. That's why aerospace will also have a hard time. Maybe space will have a better time, but who knows? That's something that is pretty unclear currently. But these two industries will not strive too much. Same is for oil and gas. That's something that will have a future in the next 1 or 2 decades, of course. But if you start a career right now, maybe oil and gas is not the right place to start, because you won't finish your career basically in this industry. Or you need to be lucky, because of course the number of jobs will decrease, and the probability that you are one of the jobs that might decrease is of course higher if it decreases. If it increases, it's always better. So think about what industries die. That's very important. If you are working in industry where you think might not be around for the next 1 or 2 decades, then consider your age and decide from there. Don't die with your industry. Don't go down with the ship you're on. Leave. That might be something you might consider. then of course another thing that will change is that states will have or will want to have more control on their citizens. And this control includes, of course, knowing where they travel, what they do, who they meet, also who they pay. So there will be digital currencies, which is actually just a control on how you spend your money. There will be vaccination passes where you need to show that you have a vaccine, so your health status will be much more known to the state. Where you travel, of course, is already known to the state, if you travel by air, but it will also be by car. So I think all of these things will change. There will be more taxation because states need to spend a lot of money, so you will have to pay more taxes. And that all sounds bad, but of course you can always benefit from things that sound bad. You can, for example, develop stuff that helps the state to control their citizens. It's not the best thing to do, but it's something that makes you a lot of money if you're good at that. Or you can, of course, join the state and then help them doing it. So as someone who works for the government, that is also a possibility in the future, and that jobs will grow. I'm pretty sure that this will grow, the industry will grow, and the jobs at the government will grow that help the government to control the people. But if it's the flow of their money, or if it's the state of the vaccination, or where they travel, doesn't matter, but states will want to control more of these kind of things, and therefore you can, of course, go in this kind of industries. Then another thing that will change is the way that our education system works. Not at once, but there are already signs that this changes. So people going to universities and getting their bachelor and master's degree, sitting in classes, writing thesis, all of that is not required anymore already now. So you can have all these lectures over YouTube, you can have the exams online. So the reason why you're going to university is something that from a teaching point of view that is quite ancient. Of course, to network, to have a good time, that's a good idea to go to university, but for the knowledge part itself, it's not so much required anymore due to the new technologies. And companies already realized that. So I think Google was the company who said, I don't need you to get a bachelor's degree, you can just start working for me, you get a training for 6 months, and then you are basically equal to a bachelor in programming. Which is actually true, I think. So these kind of trainee programs will also grow. That is especially important for you if you are now maybe 14 or 15 years old and think about what can I do with my life. It might be an opportunity or an option for you to do that. Because once you have such a job, once you had it for 4 or 5 years, no one will ask for your bachelor's degree anymore. They will say, yeah, you had the Google training, you have been a programmer now for 5 years, and you will be equal to the other guys who did all the university stuff. I'm pretty sure about that. So this will change. Of course, you can develop the stuff that helps people to do this remote learning, remote education stuff. That is also an industry that will grow in the future. I'm very sure about that. Last thing that I think will change, and that's maybe the most important one, is that people will look more for their health and for hygiene. These two things will definitely grow. Health will grow because people get older. That didn't change due to the pandemic, so not everyone who's old died. That's why we have now still a lot of old people. Healthcare was something that was going to grow anyway, but now since we had this pandemic, people will have more focus on their hygiene, so on washing their hands, disinfecting stuff, having face masks, all of these kind of things. Also seeing if someone has some kind of virus, detecting diseases early, maybe with quick tests, with whatever. That is something that will also change. So there's a lot of opportunities here to develop things, to develop disinfectants, test methods, or whatever. That is an industry that will grow in the next 2 decades. Whatever we do, you don't need to worry about that. It is something where you can make a lot of money. It is something that people want to have. It's not only something where states say, yeah, you need to have it. You must do these kind of vaccinations and this kind of tests. People will want to do that on their own, and they will require companies to do that, maybe even their employer. So there is a lot of opportunity in here. It's not the best thing for society from my point of view if you are always afraid of getting some kind of virus or infection, and after COVID it will be the next flu virus or whatever. I'm pretty sure that will go on forever, or people will worry forever about these kind of things. It's not a good thing. It's not a good life if you are worried all of the time of invisible stuff that might hit you, but it's how it is, and you should see how you can benefit from it. So these were the points that I think you should consider. I think these are the topics you should also make up your mind about. If you have different opinions, if you have any opinion, just post it in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, subscribe, and goodbye. Have a good day.